Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Okay, I'll have to cut all of that out because clearly OBS lost my mic settings. Bit annoying. So back we go. Okay, so this is a bit of a test. A couple of things. One, doing recordings and then uploading them later. I've done one already, which I've got on hold and I'm looking to edit, and this one is slightly different nature. Couple of things. One, see if I talk enough about playing this game to make it interesting, and the other one is to see if I quite like or don't like or feel comfortable with being on camera sat in my dressing gown late at night when I can't sleep. So one in a possible occasional series. Yeah, it's been a long day and I'm quite tired, but I'm in one of those states where it is harder to sleep. Rather harder to get myself settled down to sleep than usual. So I'm going to do this. So Slay the Spire is a card building game. I've won it a few times. I'm just starting a new attempt at a win. I've won it with first this character on the right here. I can't remember all the names, so I'm just going to say this character, and this character. I have not won it with this one, which is what I'm currently attempting with my success. So I've got as far as the end of the game, but lost. It's kind of my opinion. You've got to be almost godlike in your abilities, your character's abilities by the end of the game to win. Although there's a fair bit of luck and fluke, as we will see. So I'm going to play with this character, the Defect. You can see the stuff about here. This is a card deck building game. As I said, you start with a limited number of cards. You collect more as you go along from defeating bosses or other events in the game. Well, not defeating bosses, defeating enemies, as well as various other factors such as relics, such as this one. You start with one. There is an option to remove it often at the start of the game, which we'll just come to. Gold to buy things when you come across shops, hit points, how much hit points you've got. Healing is something that is not made very easy in this game. But one of this character's specialties is they have a card which is relatively common and low value in the shops, which allows you to heal hit points at the end of the game, at the end of the combat round. Something I haven't really seen for any of the other characters. There are other functions of the game that will come across as we go. I'll try and explain them as I go. Finally, down here we have this essential. Every time you reach a certain number of XP or complete the game, this pops up and you can turn it off just to have normal things, and then there's levels, so more elites, normal enemies, deadlier. I have not completed the game with this guy, but I have bumped his ascension level up, so effectively it's getting harder every time I don't complete it, because of the XP for this character I'm generating. It's a robotic kind of character. Its uniqueness I'll come to in just a second. You always see this big whaley, ghostly, weird Cthulhuoid kind of dude each time, and he offers you a choice. One of the most common ones, which you always get if you don't get to as far as the first boss in your round, is the first 3 enemies you encounter will have 1 hit point. This is incredibly useful, as you might know, as you will become aware rather. The the other options, the risk reward ones, I tend to steer away from unless they are really good, and this one has given me pause for consideration because I will survive quite happily with 21 damage, and max HP 14 is quite good. Losing my starting relic in the band, like, this very rarely goes well for me. Unless it gives me exactly the right thing, I find it quite hard. Common relics, that's a good safe bet. Random rare card, less so. Random rare card will probably set up your playstyle quite early on, or just be useless. Random common relic is free, so it's between these two. I think my strategy is going to be gathering as many relics as I can in the game, so I don't think that an extra one at the start is necessarily going to do me a lot of good. I've never taken this option before, so I'm going to try that. Do the risk reward. As you can see, this guy's quite powerful. You also, interesting, when your hit points, your maximum HP goes up, your existing HP also goes up by that amount. So if you're at full health, it will remain at full health. So the damage it did, in effect, was less than stated because it bumped the HP up. But ultimately, I've lost that HP overall. So I'm actually starting pretty close to my starting HP, which is good. I hadn't considered that before I did it. So one consideration in the later game. The first few times you play the game, this won't be here, this little triangle. This is necessary to get to the end game. You have to fill it with 3 little emblem-y things that you come across. The first one is got from a special boss, this dude here. So it is, in my opinion, much wiser to get it straight away, even if it costs you something else in the short term. Because getting it from later bosses will be hard, because these bosses not only carry this puzzle piece, let's call it, they will have some bonus that makes them harder to defeat. I'll just explain what we're seeing here. There's a legend here, an unknown room. You may encounter monsters, treasures, shops, or something entirely different. I really like these, they change the game in lots of ways. Merchants, you buy stuff, it's fairly obvious. It's best to try and encounter your first merchant with as much cash as possible. There may be benefits for going in early. One of the most useful things you can get from a merchant is a discount card, which takes 50% off everything, or a meal ticket, which means you heal every time you go into a merchant. Treasure boxes, get treasure chests in two or three circumstances. One, they can appear as part of a question mark room. 2, every time you defeat a end boss. And 3, they're on the map, and there may be another circumstance I can't quite remember. Rest is an option, gives you a set of options. 1, you can rest, get and heal 30% of your HP back. 2, you can upgrade a card, which is something we'll come to. And 3, there are other things that can happen as a result of relics or bonuses that you get in the game. So you may, for instance, be able to increase your strength or dig for relics. That's a powerful one. You can get a relic at every rest site. And the last thing they can do in this late version of the end game style of the game, they contain a puzzle piece, which you have to get. Each of these options are exclusive to the others, so you have to at least one time not do any of those things and opt to take the piece instead. The last piece is got from treasure chests, and you have to choose that over the relic that's in there, but not the boss chests. So these are elites, just to get the terminology right. These are elites. That's a special elite, and that's a boss. So I like question marks. I like them a lot. So we have to choose our path. So first of all, I need to be able to get to this guy. So I am now limited to these 2 paths. This one gives me 2 enemies, 2 question marks. This one gives me 2 enemies. It's much of a muchness. Take the left-hand path. So off we go. Your guy's here. Enemies there. Whatever's above their head tells you what they want to do. So this enemy's gonna buff themselves and they're gonna attack me this round. These are your orbs. Because I have this relic, I will spawn 1 lightning at the start of each round. So this does 2 things. It's passive. While it's just sat there, at the end of each turn it will deal this much damage to a random enemy. Since there's only one, it will deal. If it is invoked, which is done either by a card like this one, or by filling up the other orb so it's pushed out, it will deal 8 damage to a random enemy. Each of the orbs you can get will do different things, and this is the unique ability for this character. It's very useful because if you are unable to attack in a round, for instance, and you have lightning orbs, you can go completely on defense and still do some damage. And say if you've got the frost, which provides shielding, which we'll get to in a second, vice versa. But it's also an extra bit of management for you to think about. So the things I need to take into consideration here: this guy isn't attacking me, so I don't need to defend myself at all. So I don't need to add any block, so I can do damage to him. I have 3 action points, which means I can play up to 3 points worth of cards. These are all worth 1, so I can play 3 of them. I have 68 hit points, makes that very clear. Gold is irrelevant at this point. I have no potions, so again we can't worry about them. I have my draw pile over here. I haven't got a very large deck, so I have 10 cards in total, 5 of them in my hand, 5 in the deck. Discard pile here. Once the draw pile is empty, the discard pile is shuffled back into it, cards are drawn again. I can check where I am on the map. This just informs me that I'm doing a harder version. This is level 1. Every time you go through a room, you're going up a level. It's kind of important to remember for certain relics, which grant you bonuses if you per level that you go up. So here we are. So it is fairly obvious to me what to do here. Just to begin with, I'm going to hit him. I'm going to hit him again. And then I'm going to choose whether to evoke my next orb twice. This means that I will evoke this, so I'll do 8 damage and another 8 damage. He has 39 health. That's going to be 16 damage. It's a fair chunk. I'd like to get through this fairly quickly, so sod it, let's go ahead and hit him. That's it, I'm done. End turn. Right, now he's going to hit me. He's going to do 6 damage. I have 3 points. So my options here are hit him, defend myself, or, important, create another orb. So what I'm going to do here, irritatingly, he's going to hit me for 1 more point more than I can block with 1 card. So I could do block, strike, zap, and lose a point of health. But because I'm already a few points down, I don't want to do that. So I'm going to do this and this to give me 10 things. He now can't hurt me, and channel lightning, so he will take 3 damage at the end of the turn, like so. Right, he now has more strength. You'll notice these bits down here. So he has the ritual ability, which is really irritating. It means he will go up in 4 strength every turn, so I need to get rid of him pretty quick. But I don't want to take lots of damage. So I'm going to defend myself this round, hit him, and hoping that I will have enough attack in the next round or options to take him out entirely. So he'll be down to 11 points, which should be doable within a single round. 14. Okay, so here's where we have considerations. I want to take him out, so 6 damage will take him down to 5 health. That orb is not enough to do it. I have things, but I have this. This will do him 16 damage. I win. Yay! So, I clicked through that rather too fast. So, there I took the gold that was given, and I've given the option to choose a card. You don't have to do this, and some people like, that I talked to about this, like to keep their decks down, so will often choose to skip. Once you've got cards, it's quite hard to get rid of them. I prefer to play with huge decks, it may not be efficient, but it works in my head quite well. And with this particular character, it's quite useful because you have a couple of cards that are really powerful if you have a very large draw deck. Now, here's the choice. I dislike this one because I tend to play long game with my. Imagine I'm going to take my time over the enemies, so something where I'm going to lose value every time, even though it costs 0, which I really like, is not great. This is good because it gets me cool-headed. It allows me to add a block orb and draw a card, and cycling your deck is something that's very, very useful. But this is one of my favourites. One, it's a 0 card, so it doesn't cost any energy. If you get it, you can pretty much play it with impunity. It won't cost you anything. It does a small amount of damage, but most importantly, it applies 1 weak to the enemy. If you apply weak to an enemy, the amount of damage they do to you goes down. So as a starting card to set up the rest of how you play your deck, it's very, very good, even if they're... I was going to say even if they're not going to attack, well, it just gets you 3 damage, and you've lost nothing, so that's good. If in the event you do play on one weak, it's great. If they have artifacts which prevent negative effects being applied to them, it's a costless way of reducing their ability to resist that. So I really like this one, and I'm going to take it. Given a choice here, why would you avoid question marks? I'm not entirely sure, but you will get cash and cards, whereas question marks might give you such things. It might just give you a combat. You don't really know, but I like the element of chance in them, and more often than not I seem to feel I benefit from them. So we're going to do that. Right, so it's just gone into a combat. So, brilliant, I get to demonstrate this straight away. Costs nothing. No, they're doing less damage. I'm going to have to take some damage this round. I can live with that. So I'm going to gain 5 block. And I think the way that I'm going to do this, I'm going to try and take this guy out as fast as possible. Let's deal 6 damage and then 16 damage. Pretty much more than half down, so we're good. Don't like losing health. Right, so this is fairly obvious. I'm going to go and get my sap back. This is interesting. I think I'm going to do the same again. I can only defend for 10. I'm going to eat the 2 hit points, and I'm going to add another orb. That way I get maximum defense, and I still hurt him a bit, and this is better. So 9, and now I know that I've got him. $18 gold. That's great. Now, I've seen these before. I really haven't got a lot of benefit out of them, except for an end game where I ended up generating loads by accident, and they were really, really powerful because I ended up having a bunch of 0 cards that were doing 20 or 30 damage each, and you could build a deck towards that. And it's something I might try sometime, especially on another run. But on this run, I'm going to take this one. Note the light blue banner. That means it is a rarer card than on. In fact, I'm not. I believe it's this, then light blue, then gold. So these are uncommon, and then golds are rare. I think that's how the terminology works. But this is brilliant. And there's one particular enemy that, come to think of it, I haven't run into with this guy very much at all, who's got almost no health. In fact, 20 health is what they've got. But has persistent block, so they generate block, and that carries on to the next turn rather than disappearing as it does at the end of each turn, something I haven't mentioned before. And this thing absolutely kills them, and it's still useful for a lot of other circumstances as well, so I'm going to take that. Moving on. Right, so I'm going to hit this dude. I hate these guys, but this time, one of the reasons this card is very useful, it does quite a lot of damage for 1 point, even if they don't have block. So I can automatically remove this guy, thus removing concern about 4 points of incoming damage. Done. I can only defend for 5, so I'm going to eat that 5 damage anyway. And because this guy has low health as well, I'm going to do the 16 damage to him. Right, that card that just went in there is a detrimental card that gets in the way. Now, we may come to it later. This guy's not attacking, but as I said, 3 damage, and you can see in the circumstance why, because it just knocks him down to 11. I can now do him another 6 damage. Channel 1 lightning. He's not attacking, so I have no defense to worry about. I can put some on just to demonstrate that here's 5 defense. End turn. He does what he's going to do. Defense disappears. But here we are. I can kill him for free. Done. A bit of gold. Ooh. This is useful. As you can say, as you know, I'm a big fan of 0 cards. This character does do a lot with 0 cards, so it's quite a useful thing to have. However, this is a high cost card, and a typical I think this will cost you 2/3 of your points for a round, but it gets you 7 block, channel 2 costs, so at a basic level that will give you each frost gives you, I think, 3 block at the end of a round, so that's 13 block out the gates, plus any bonuses that you've got from potions, focus, that sort of thing. Also, it will nudge other orbs out as they're generated. It's an incredibly useful card, and you don't have to use it, but it's good to have it there. So if it gets drawn at the right time, it could be absolutely devastating, or a complete lifesaver. I'm going to have that one. It's interesting because I don't normally think this carefully about each thing. Normally I just kind of go with my gut. So I have to explain out loud what my gut is telling me to do and justify it to myself, which is an interesting exercise. Okay. Oh, I hate these guys. Right. So that helps. I am not getting any defense out of this round, so I'm eating 6 damage. I can cope with that. These guys are also going to do, let's just have a look at this, negative effect. So it's going to make my attacks hard to do, so I really need that sap. So I also don't want to use that, so it's fairly obvious what I'm doing with my 3 here now. I'm going to hit him. I'm going to generate a bulb, and I'm going to hit him again. For quite a significant amount of damage there. So he's down to half health, which helps. And here we go. 2 Glacier. 2 of my points. 7 block. It's going to do me 8 damage at 2 frost, and that's going to make my life a lot easier, and it's going to do him damage. I can now afford to use this strike quite happily. So actually they do 3 by base, so that's going to be 9, 11 block. Yay, I can do math. Right, so here we go again. He's on 10, so actually we want to focus on doing him damage. The easiest way of doing that. And now I know I've won. So first potion. So this is a flex potion which will give 5 strength for 1 round, so I need to remember to use it before I do attacks on a round. I tend to underuse potions, I could use them a lot more. And things like this potion I'll tend to forget about until my potions are full up, and I'll end up discarding it rather than using it. But at the moment, I've got that, and now I'll probably remember it to demonstrate. So here we go. This is a good card. Like I say, there are cards that rely on you having a large draw pile. Equally, there are cards that rely on you having a large discard pile. So at the moment, the most I can have in my discard pile, it looks to be 12. That would be quite a lot of block for one point spent. so it's quite tempting. Cool-headed gives you a frost and dex cycling, and I want the orbs to be heavily used in this, so it's quite tempting. It's also worth noting when I'm talking about points and why I'm not too worried about having high point cards is that I'm going to focus also on generating extra energy per turn with primarily by one particular card, which is quite common. If it doesn't show up too much in this, I'll have to change my strategy. My feeling is that stack will turn up later, so and cool-headed will be more useful now, so I'm going to go with that. So, question mark before the boss. Just going to scroll up and ahead to understand what my next moves are, and they're much for muchness. I'll probably want to go to the left if so to use the fire after that. If I've got enough health left. So, but first, random event. Ooh. Now it's very early in the game, so my random 2 cards. I could upgrade one of these, it would be very good. Might go those. I am feeling risky, so I'm going to see what I get, but yes, of course, it's 2 strikes, but it's probably quite survivable. This is going to be the test, eh? Taking extra damage before we go into a boss is... Okay. So one of the things I found quite early on is that this guy, Lagavulin, doesn't wake up straight away. So if you don't like your hand there, you can just leave it. As long as you don't get through his block, he won't wake up. Of course, with this guy, you'll be doing damage. So, what I want to do... I've got a hand I quite like now, so I'm going to go for it. I'm going to generate those 2 frost, so I've got some auto block. He's not going to attack, but I can use this to remove his block, do 10 damage. He will wake up now. There you go. And 3 damage. And you get... So here, it could get quite interesting. So I want to build up some defense. I'm remembering that strength potion up there actually, it's going to be quite useful. So when these invoked, I get 5 block off it, which will be 9 in total, which is not quite enough. So ideally, I will use this. That will give me 10, and I will have 14 in total, which is kind of acceptable. I quite like to do some damage as well. So having 2 left, I think what I want to do is this. So now I will have a reasonable block. I'll only take 4 points. He'll take 3 damage. Right. This gives me an opportunity. 13. This will certainly get me past the block and I can hit him. Right, he's not attacking this round, but he is going to do some stuff. So I'm going to push the boat out by evoking this twice, hitting him, and channeling another lightning. Right, now it's going to get harder. I may get this verbal as I'm considering this, but I'll try and talk it out. I think it probably makes sense here just to fire everything at defense. So that will get me through, and then I can make a choice about what to do next. Yeah. So that makes me safe, and I can do him a chunk of damage. This is going to be interesting. So I'm going to do the same trick again. Six, 17, so I'll take a point of damage. I could defend against that, or I could hit him for 8 damage. I'm going to hit him for 8 damage. And now I'm going all in for the damage. And here we go. So, more gold than usual. This is incredibly useful. This is going to save my life. And possibly end up being used at the next boss, but it helps me continue. I'd like to save this for the end of the game. So it works once. So this is a relic. And it goes up here along with the others. And we get a card. I think that is what I want. Powers are great because they create permanent effects that last throughout that combat. I'll probably get the chance to show it off in a minute. Right. So I can rest up, go for this guy, but I reckon I'm feeling brave. I'm going to try and go through this guy and then rest up. So this guy is, so this going to hit me for 12 points, so I want to try and stop that, which I can, and I'll do minimal damage this round to one of the two, but I will get through safely in terms of my health, which is what I want at the moment. Right, this is an excellent opportunity because this will put me safely against enough block to cover those guys, do some damage, and allow me to use my power as well. So I'm going to do that. Alright. Okay, now it's going to get difficult. Oh, I should have done that the other way around. I'm going to have to eat the damage here. And it's another turn to use Glacier. You can see why this is so useful. You're going a bit too fast now. Right, so this card, you can actually spend a point to get rid of it, so it doesn't turn up again. In small decks, it is more of a problem. In this case, I'm not so worried. I can play around it. So I'm going to do this. I've got to draw another card. I'm got 2 cards left, so I'm going to defend. I'm going to try and get this guy out as fast as possible because he's going to get quite dangerous. The other guy I'm not too worried about, not doing much damage and not much threat. Right, so I can get this guy out, but it's gonna cost me, but I'm not getting any defense this round anyway. So and if I remember that strength potion earlier, I'd be a lot better off. Right, suddenly it's not going to be a bother at all. Don't it? So, if you do this, you cycle round, and the lightning took them out. Right. And this is the card I'm talking about. I'm kind of basing how I play around these at the moment. Gives you 7 block, adds 1 energy to next turn. Several of these can completely change the game because you can defend yourself completely during a round and then be able to play every card in your hand if you like the next round. Not always the advantage it sounds like, but it's very, very powerful. So here, quite obviously, is fine. We can rest, we can upgrade a card, which I would quite like to do, but there are better options. And recall, which we're not going to do right now because we don't have to. So rest is fairly obvious. That gets me back 30% of my health. Now I get to do a treasure box. This is incredibly useful relic. So I like power cards, I'll be getting as many as I can. The other option is to grab that. So if you ever see something you don't very much like and the choice is obvious, sometimes you'll have to make the choice because you need all of these by the time you get to the end of the game. So they're called keys. I remember that now. So going fine hand. Proceed. Question mark is less likely to harm me, and I like question marks, so we're going to go there first. And I know how this works out. I want the golden idol. It becomes useful later, but you also get some more gold. This here, so this is another dead card. It does nothing, but it doesn't really harm you either. It just takes up space in your deck, so it might prevent a card you want. I could actually take the easy option, lose 7 max HP, because I got lots at the start. It'd be half of what I gained, but I still have 7 more. But I play pretty well with dead cards, so I'm going to take this. And there are ways of getting rid of it later. So this is the special boss I was talking about, and it's this lot. So they get extra max HP, which is just dandy. So you can see what happened there. I used the thing, and instead of it being weakened, this little artifact at the bottom, which prevents them being debuffed. So I am taking 9 damage. But what I am going to do is hit this guy hard. So I've got 3 points, so I'm going to use my 2 heavy strike cards and my static discharge, because I'm going to take damage, and that will do lightning. I can prevent their debuff. You know what, I never use this, I'm going to use this anyway. It'll stop me getting a couple of cards, I think. And I'm going to drink that. And hit him. Hit him again. And, ooh, isn't that nice? My power there, because I played a power, reduced the last card. And I've got to remember, you can manage that. So if there's only 1 card in your hand, that will always be the one. So if you have a power and 1 last card, it will always be that last card that becomes 0 value. So you can manipulate it so that you have a high value card becomes 0. Now if we're really lucky, we'll hit this guy again with a random lightning attack. Yep. Now, here's where things get kind of cool. I don't actually have any option here. I'm all defend apart from invoking that twice, which I'm not really wanting to do. So that gives me an extra round next turn. They're going to do 18 total damage. I've already got 7, so I'm just going to go for on defense roll and getting the frost out. Take a point of damage, move on. Now, this is going to be fun. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my strike card to remove this guy, because it does matter, he's only got 1 point. That also removes any risk of me. Here's a thought. Because I'm going to 1, 2, 3, I don't even need to attack him. So I've got 4 points, so I can do what I like, really. So it's probably best just to hit this guy twice. And sorry, I might as well put the defense on because I can. Energy doesn't carry across between rounds either, although there is an artifact that can do that for you, the ice cream, which is pretty awesome. So here we go. That is fairly obvious. This is where it gets kind of funny, actually. I've got 2 left. I can use it all on this, or I could just channel some lightning and do some damage. But obviously I want block now, so that will get me safe from the incoming damage this turn. And that guy's still not dead. Why is that guy still not dead? Oh, because it's the lightning's random. I didn't think that through clearly enough. Nonetheless, it's turned out alright, so we will do that guy there. Do I want to... I have a chance of taking out the... that one, so I think it's worth doing. Yes. Well, that's disappointing. He's going to hurt me. Would have rather kept those things. So, but here we go. Yeah, hold on. So let's talk about what we've got here. 7 gold, 7. It's 27. Yes, that's the number in brackets is the extra gold you get from the golden idol. This is going to be useful. So that does the same as cracked core, but in this case, channels dark. They do not do well. They don't directly harm or protect you. What they do is sit there generating damage. So the passive effect is the total damage when it's invoked gets higher. You can get it and it doesn't stop. So as long as it's sat there in your orbs, it will generate this every turn. So you can end up dropping hundreds of points of damage if you can just get it to be invoked. And that evoke card is very useful for it, but you need to be quite carefully manage what's going on. But it's really good, so I'm happy about that. I've got my emerald key. That just comes as a freebie. These are quite useful if you remember to use them, so it means that every time they attack you, you will do 3 damage back to them. This gets important when the types of attack vary, so they might do a single batch of damage, or they might do multiple batches of some other amount of damage. So they might have a this might say 20 damage above them with a little symbol to show how vicious that's going to be, or it might say 1 times 5, which is actually 5 times 1. They hit you 5 times for 1 point. It's confusing, and I don't know why it's reversed, but that seems to be a thing in games, which has different effects. There are some things that will completely negate the damage you get in one attack, but if they're going to hit you for 1.5 times, it will negate 1 point and then you'll take the other 4. So it's something to watch out for. Ooh. Actually, I never use that one. I just don't like it. I don't think it's a good exchange for getting 2 cards. I imagine for some playstyles it's great. Leap, that is really useful. 9 block for 1, but we've already got some awesome block cards, and this is fantastic because you get some random shit out of it. And sometimes it completely turns the game, and sometimes you're just left going, what the hell. In this case, you get a random power card that you can use once, and sometimes they're really powerful. There's another one called the one I was thinking of a moment ago was called Hello World, where it adds a random card to your deck at the start of each turn, but they don't cost 0. But this is really quite powerful. So, having done that, we now need to rethink what we're doing. There is a shop here. I've got 234 gold, and I'm actually quite happy with where things are going, so I don't really feel like going there, especially not through another boss. That said, options to consider. That boss will give you another relic like these, which will be useful. I just don't feel a specific need to risk it in this case. And the shop, the discount coupon is actually quite low cost, but my feeling is to avoid the shop, go through these guys, take the least amount of damage I can. Hopefully one of these will be a healing spot. If not, hopefully they at least won't harm me very much. And take out this guy, obviously rest at the site and just go with what I've got really. So I'm going to do that. Never mind, a shop. That was probably worth it, to be honest. I can't get those. I like that one. I really like that one. I really like that one. This is very useful. It's liable to turn up elsewhere. That's really good, but again, probably not worth the cash. It's worth keeping these down. Look, sometimes there are hit points. So, a choice is between yeah, I can't afford both. This one, and maybe one of these cards up here, maybe another one of these. Not spending any money at all. Actually, we can remove one of the annoying cards, so I'm probably going to do that if there's enough left. I want to go with magnetism because I like random cards. They make me think. But that's going to give me a better survival chance. Cards are more likely to turn up than relics. 143, and that will leave me enough to remove a card, so I'm going to go with that. I can remove the injury card. So that goes up every time you use it. So I'm actually quite pleased with that. I'm less pleased with this. So now I'm generating this, so didn't mean to do that, apologies. So now I've got the dark at the front, which is kind of what I wanted. If I can defend myself out of this round easy enough, so I've got 11. I'm not going to be able to defend myself out of this round, so that's going anyway. If I use this power. If I don't use this power, I will get out of this round. Not quite unscathed. 4, 6, 8. No, I'll be alright. Let's do that then. Nope, I will take a point of damage. Right. So let's. These guys are very annoying because he will try and run away eventually. Let's just take some damage out of the equation with this card. Right, I haven't really been left with a lot of choice. Oh, that's good. You'll notice that I've got some focus now. That's going to up the effectiveness of each of my orbs. So now I get 3 block passively for these and 6 if invoked. It's given me a 0 because the power card I played, I'd forgotten about that. I probably could have managed that better. And my dark will now increase its potential damage by 7. So if it's evoked at the moment, it will do 12. Next turn it will do 19. And if we get the double evoke, that will probably do this guy in completely, which is great. So I now can do this guy lots of damage. Oh, when they hit you, they steal your cash as well, which is sucks to be him because I've only got 1 coin left. If I run out, I imagine that means he'll probably just run off, and indeed that is exactly what's happening. So we're going to deal him 9 damage. This is going to do 19 damage when I activate it, and I'm going to activate it now by drawing this card and playing it, which is 1 frost, 1 card, and glory be, that's going to probably spell the end for this guy next round, because I'll have an extra point to do. The only way he's going to get away with it, more than likely, is if I don't have enough attack, which I do. Sucks to be him. if I hadn't managed to get him out and he'd have retreated, I'd have got limited rewards, but he'd have run off with all my cash. In this case, I get all my cash back. Limited rewards, I get an energy potion, which, based on what I was talking about earlier, I'm very happy to have because it gives me this. Now, this is a hard choice. The one thing I'm not going to do is get this one. That's kind of a nuclear option card, and I can imagine it is very useful in the right hands. But I can't think of situations in which it will work for me. I can't plan for it. So I'm going to leave it out. It may turn up through other things. I love this card here because if you take the time to play it right, you get a 0 point 15 damage card that you can use on long combats. But even better is this one. Every time you play a power card, the cost goes down. You can end up with a 0.12 block card, which, if you play the long game, is very, very useful indeed. So I'm taking that one. I'm in a great place. I've got most of my health, so I may even be able to smug my way out of this. So, fairly obvious what I'm going to do here. I can do this guy some damage. This guy is special. I'll go into that in a second. So the first thing I must do is use this. I've now got the option to generate some blocks or do some damage. Now, this guy's thing is that it's a blob and it splits. So if I get him down to half of 65, 32.5, so probably 31, it will split into 2 blobs of the health left at the end of the turn. It will also interrupt whatever they're doing, so it's important to do that. It's a good way of stopping them doing you damage. If you only got attacks and not defense, you just go all out on hitting him and attempt to get him to split. 2 opponents of the same health sounds worse, but it's easier to off them because they're lower health, and actually it's probably more less dangerous than one opponent of a much higher health. T. So, in total, I can do him 15 damage, bring him down to 50, or I can channel my 2 frosts in preparation and do him 8 damage and push my dark to the front. So I actually feel like doing that instead. Here we go. So I'm not going to. I've taken. He's made me weaker, so it's harder to hurt him. But because of the pre-planning, I've now got 4 energy this turn, so I can use Force Field. I can also weaken him, so now he's doing 13. That Force Field will now. But let's just consider this for a second. I can use Melter to take him down to 45, and then Dual Cast to take 24 damage off him. This will interrupt him. I'll just demonstrate. So I've got my sword twice. In 31, he's interrupted. Now, why not just leave it there? Well, I'll tell you why not. Because he will split into whatever his health is at the end of the turn. So I actually want him to be as low as possible. There's not much else I can do here. So I'm just going to, I might as well use the defense, just why not? See the numbers go up. Right, now he can both attack and so I'm going to take 12 points of damage anyway, so let's get some block in. I'm going to add my random power card. This is an amazing card. I love this card. First card you play each turn is played twice. Important thing to note, it says ethereal. If you do not play this card, put it back down, at the end of the turn, it disappears. You can't use it, so you must play it. And it's normally 3 points, so it's a hard decision. In this case, it's no decision at all. Off we go. So we're going to... Oh, this is lovely. So I get to even hit them. Gonna hit the one that's gonna hit me. Why not? So I'm taking 3 points of damage. You know what? That's lovely. So 8. So I'm going to start with this one because it will... It's played twice. So I've already got my 10. I'm great. I'm going to add some thing for next turn. I'm not going to take any unblocked damage, so I'm less worried about that. Although playing the power card will randomly make one card go 0, so let's do that. Because then we can add that to the mix. Okay, I did less damage this turn, but I actually feel like I got quite a lot out of it. And here we go. Now that I've played lots of power cards, I've got 4. So I can just ride this one out. And do the damage. So it's just ridiculous amounts of block. Aha, you can't touch me. Well, if I played strike, this would be nearly over already, but okay, let's do this. Alright, so I'm going to get 6 block out of the gate. Melter, I can just kill this guy outright. We don't need to worry about him. And I can kill this guy outright. Oh, I love Chaos, because you can get all sorts of fun interactions and... Okay, now, I'm getting to the campfire with 90 of 96 points, so I could rest and get all my points, but I don't feel I need to do that. I feel I've got enough experience in the game that I'll survive this boss. Even with 90 hit points, I've certainly done it with less. The boss is a big version of that blob we saw a moment ago. So what I'm going to do here... Now, I could obtain a Roby key now, because it's the first time stop, I don't have to rest. But I want to upgrade a card, or at least I think I do, so I can check up here what cards I've got. If I were to upgrade a card, what card would I upgrade? And the answer is going to be, and I'll probably upgrade these whenever I have the choice, is to do Charge Battery. I will get more block for that one. It makes a tremendous amount of difference. So now, knowing now that I want to do this, this is the point where I've turned and clicked on one of these, you can't go back. Got that. I can now have a look at some options, but I'm pretty sure I want to do that. See, pretty nice, eh? But there's that. Similar sort of thing. Similar sort of thing. That's kind of fun. That's very fun. That's actually quite tempting. 0 cost. I'm going with this because it gets me a free power card, absolutely free power card. This game is full of like, well, actually I want to do this moments. You start off with a plan and very quickly it leads you down a rabbit hole and off you go. You suddenly got a completely different plan. Right, so I want to hurt this guy as much as possible, as fast as possible, to get him down to 70. But I don't want to do it without considering so we're going to do a little damage anyway, because why not? We've got 3 points now. That makes sense, and that also makes sense. So now I've got some defense in. I've got a Dark Orb on the boil and a lightning at the back end to help out. It might have been better to have the Dark Orb at the back, or at least in the middle. But we're going with that random block because why not? He's not splitting yet, so I can't remember. I think this is a charge up for a large attack. So, we're gonna have some fun. At least he's not attacking. That will give me a bit of breathing space. Now, I can twat him for 12 there. Channel a random orb, which might give me energy. In fact, I like to do so this will give you something. Right, it's giving me some block, which is no bad thing. Probably could have done that a bit better. Yeah. Important thing to note, in end boss fights for each map, you get all your health back at the end, so you don't have to keep such a weather eye on, am I coming out of this with 1 hit point? You just need to come out of this. What I don't want to do is die and use that up just yet. So I can't rely on it. So we get to try this out for the first time, which is going to be brilliant. And there we go. We are now quite happily vulnerable, and using those power cards and making all of these. And this is kind of interesting because this is now useless. He's going to do more damage than 12, so my buffer is going to go. But I can use all of these, so why not? That buffer is going to prevent me being hurt at all this round, which is lovely. That's his big attack, so we have a shot at doing from here. So that's 10. We've got 3. I'm going to do this, this, and this. So that one, all the heavy hitters, 74, and this will take him down on the split. And it's only a shame I can't do more damage. Is it worth using my energy to do that? Not really. It's not going to save me a lot of grief. Okay, so where are we with this? A lot of options here, but basically I want to protect myself. So that will give me 5. This will give me more. So it's best to play this first, just in case I get an option I hadn't thought of. But no, it's still going to be the same. Now this might be a good point to use the energy. I can push some damage out and get another block. So at the moment, actually let's do that. So now I'm going to find further block and hurt them a bit more. So that's going to hurt, but not too much for me to worry about. Of course that'll turn up. So I might as well do it this way round. It's just putting the damage in now. So these guys will divide again. So it's fairly obvious what I have to do now. I just have to get through this round. It's actually, I tend to drink potions, so let's make them hurt a little every time they hit me. My feeling is here, that one, they'll make a decision. That'll make me safe, so let's do that. This is the last time they divide. So I'm pretty good for Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to generate the orb to see what I get before I make a decision next. Right, so not hurting me this turn, so it seems to me that I probably want to go and put this guy till and then take him down as far as possible. 12, 18, so they're doing 20 damage. Not much I can do about that, but I'm actually quite comfortable. So I'm going to limit the damage as far as possible and use my strike here to bring one of these guys down. I'm reasonably certain of getting through this now because I've got enough health to weather what's going on, even though it's a bit irritating. 9 damage. So I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to exhaust one of these cards, which you can do, but I rarely do. It just removes it from your hand, you don't have to worry about it anymore. I was kind of hoping that would happen. So, 22 coming in, so we're going to do defense. I'm going to double the defense again, and I'm going to channel 1 lightning. This is where it gets interesting. We'll have to take someone out. We've got limited choices here, so I'm going to use the Chaos Orb and see what I get. I think I can afford to do this. Even though I could have taken that guy out, I can probably weather the damage. Good chance I'll be taken out by lightning anyway. I'm not even sure if that was right, but that's what my gut said. Felt like it's on the right path. Oh, this is entirely defense, so let's do that. There we go. Hit him for that, and it's all over. Whew. Hard choice. My feel. That's a very good card. But this is when if you can play it right, I've got to have that really, even though it is sometimes negative. So these are the boss relics. There are risk reward ones like this. It's worth checking up here and reminding yourself because there are relics that negate 2 curses. There are relics that make the next curse give you benefits like Mac HP for every curse. I do not have any of those, so I've got these, and I've only got there's 2 risk reward ones and transform 3 cards and upgrade them. So I get to choose which cards, and this is useful. So this is the one I'm going to take. Because I'm kind of outgrowing the strikes and defends. So I select those, and it very annoyingly just kind of vanishes them and does its thing. So it looks like I've got a Streamline Press. Ooh. If that comes in with a power card, it gets silly quickly. So I'm very happy about that. For instance, if I get this and this in the same turn when I've got 4 energy, it's unlikely, but it could happen. It will give me first card I'm played twice. Each turn is played twice. So I get to my first 2 cards are played twice, and that can get very silly. So I'm pretty happy with that. Streamline, as I say, is lovely. You get to play it once, and it's good for long games. So, having done that, go to the next map. Now I'm going to wind this up after the next battle. And the reason I do it after the next battle is that the game doesn't save until you fully move through the next battle. So if I were to quit out now, I come back and I have to make decisions again, and I think that the random number generator will effectively have already rolled the dice and I'll get exactly the same results, but I won't necessarily remember what I wanted to do. So I'm happy with that, so I want to set it in stone. So it's one more battle. Once again, we've got the question of paths. There's no special boss to worry about, and my considerations are largely based around how many question marks can I go through, with a slight balance on do I need a shop yet and so on. So looking at this, I want to go up here more than likely. That's what I would normally do. This brings me out here, and there's a shop up there. So that's kind of, I'm certain enough of myself that I will remember that that's the path I want to take tomorrow. So I'm going to start here. And this is a dude I was talking about. So my melting card, which removes all block, you'll notice he's got lots, and this ability that says barricade, block is not removed after turn. So he will have 40 block next turn, or whatever's left after I hit him lots. So to get this guy, I'm going to get this. Oh, yes, I will have some extra orbs, thank you. That will then give me another power card. You'll remember that I've got a block card which is already going down. I get 5 block, I don't even care, but why not? So I can use all of these, except I don't really want to, but I do want to use Streamline. This won't do me a lot of good, so I'm going to just end the turn without using that point. Here we go. So he has an artifact, so he won't get weakened. This isn't any use because this turn. So, alright. So I've got 3. I'm going to use these. Lessen the damage a bit. I wish I'd done that the other way round. That might have been quite useful. Nonetheless, here we are, and here we go. My deck's small enough I can be certain of Melter turning up soon. Ooh, so I could channel 3 lightning and just power through with that. I get my 9 block there. 2 frost, but the thing I'm obviously going to do is that. So that gets me 9 block and 2 frost. The same as that, so this is the better bet. And it's done quite a lot of damage. This will tell you it can still be played, because it can, but it will literally do nothing. Oh, it will channel 1. Oh, it gives me a free lightning. I hadn't thought about that. Got it, let's try it. Oh, that's quite satisfying. So, and there's my lovely Melter card. It is not hard to know what I'm going to do here. I'm going to hit him. And I'm going to hit him again. And that's it. All done. Just looking at these, that is really useful. So that just takes that orb, executes it, and puts exactly the same orb back. So if you have a 100 damage dark orb, it will throw that back. This is equally useful, but quite common. You use a small amount of block, but you can choose any card from your discard pile and put it back in your hand. Particularly useful for picking out 0 cost cards that you use, like that one. So we'll have that first, and we are done. If I do upload this, thank you for watching.